Hello, it's Ryan from 2minutetennis.net, and in this video, I'm going to give you 5 simple tips that are going to greatly improve your slice backhand. Tip number 1, don't use a Continental grip, but rather turn a little past a Continental. Yes, I'm going to show you why in a second when it comes to tip number 4, but it's really important that we, as you are learning the slice backhand, change a little past a Continental. Here's what the hand and racket normally look like, right? We've got the base knuckle and the heel pad on the second bevel. That's what you see a lot of pros using. I actually want you to turn a little past that, a little closer to the Eastern backhand grip. And I'm going to show you why for tip number 4. All right, tip number 2, when you take your racket back, take it back and don't let your racket be super open in the back, but rather keep this back elbow up and try to have the racket quite straight up and down. It's when players let their racket go too open that they then get to the ball and the racket's wide open, they slice under it, and they have way too much spin on the ball. So actually on tip number 2, I want you to turn, and you can film yourself to make sure of this. I want you to turn and have your racket feel like it's very straight up and down. Tip number 3, when you go down to the ball, assist with your non-hitting hand. From the side, it looks like this. We go to the ball with the non-hitting hand on the racket. I watch so many recreational players, they turn for a slice or any one-hander, topspin or underspin, and when they turn, they let go. And when you start going to the ball, the racket lays open, and again, that's a reason why the ball floats. Way too much spin and no penetration and depth in the court. Tip number 4, and don't worry, I'm going to show you some slice backhands here in a second. Tip number 4, and this has to do with that grip that's a little farther. When we get to the ball, we want the racket to be less than 10 degrees open. And I'll tell you that the lower the contact, that's when it'll be about 10 degrees. But the higher the contact, when you're hitting a slice on a high ball, the racket's nearly vertical. So that farther grip change, just not all the way to an Eastern backhand on the top for a topspin, but just a little past the Continental is going to give you the great ability to have your racket to be square when you hit the ball. And last, when you're done, finish completely sideways. Your chest is going to be to the side. When you got to the ball or when you were approaching the ball, both hands were on the grip. And then just before you hit, now your hands go apart. By staying sideways, your racket will track out towards your target, making you a lot more consistent. All right, watch this series of one-handed slice backhands. I'm going to have the slightly farther grip. I'm not going to let my racket do this. I'm going to try to keep it very vertical. I'm going to go to the contact with both hands. I'm going to hit the ball with a very square racket. I am hitting slice on the ball, but it's going to be very square, not going to be wide open. And then I'm going to stay sideways when I'm done. All right, let's check it out. So if you're struggling with your slice backhand, try these 5 tips. Turn your grip a little farther than you normally do. Set the racket high, but try not to let the racket get too open. Have it more vertical in the back. Go to the ball with both hands, because if you let go too early, 2 things occur. Racket will open too much, you'll slide under it, and the left hand, if you're right-handed, will come forward. So assist the racket on its way to the ball with both hands. When you get to the ball, have your racket very straight up and down. You can put a little underspin on it, but don't think the more you put on, the better. And then last, your hand should go apart, body to the side, arms apart, almost like a baseball umpire saying safe, and the racket finishes out in front of you, and then you'll go back to the ready position. You work on those 5 slice backhand tips, there's no doubt you're going to gain confidence, win more matches, and play much better tennis. This is Ryan Reedy from 2minutetennis.net. You got this.